The film opens with Chang-soo, who's your classic underachiever. He works at a car showroom and struggles extremely with punctuality to his job. At his job, he has a regular customer who's always coming in to test drive cars but never buys any. Ara, a very intelligent accountant, is buying coffee with her best friend when they see that the barista is her recent ex-boyfriend, James. James tries having a friendly but flirty conversation with Ara, but she isn't interested one bit. He gets fed up with his shabby appearance, so Chang-soo decides to buy a new suit. He enters a high-end store but quickly realizes he can't afford anything. The saleswoman immediately dismisses him, already assuming he can't afford anything. He feels disrespected, so he decides to buy something to spite her, but every suit he's shown gets more expensive. From 3 to 5 million won to 7 million won. In a clumsy move, he accidentally knocks over an expensive mannequin. The salesgirl is furious and makes Chang-soo buy it. Back at work, his colleague and friend tries on the suit, but he ends up ripping it even more. But thankfully, the company's robot assistant takes it and stitches it up with red thread, adding a quirky touch. While Chang-soo is out camping, he runs into a father-daughter duo, and the dad is upset at the fact that his wife has decided to leave home to go visit her mom after he did something. Chang-soo tells him that he just needs to be brave and apologize for whatever he did. Then he calls himself a hypocrite because he can't bring himself to brave and ask out his longtime crush. On his way from camping, Chang-soo gets strategically approached by a man and helps him pick up his scattered items, one of which is a sparkling perfume bottle. He wakes up and realizes he was just dreaming. But when he's ready to leave for work, he finds the same bottle in his room. Curious, he sprays it on himself and heads out. To his surprise, every woman on the street becomes instantly attracted to him, and even going as far as following him till he gets to his bus stop. An old lady who's usually very annoyed at him because he always makes the whole bus late is very affectionate towards him this morning. Ara notices the change and feels an unfamiliar flutter in her heart, which is very weird for her because she's decided to give up on love entirely. Chang-soo tests the perfume's effect by visiting the same high-end store as before. The salesgirls, previously indifferent, now fawn over him. Ara happens to be there and witnesses the chaos. She steps in to help him escape the attention. In the process, they share a spontaneous kiss that Ara herself initiates. This unexpected moment sparks a connection between them. Chang-soo is extremely thrilled by the kiss and invites his coworkers to a dinner to celebrate. Unexpectedly, Ara and her best friend Eun-hee are also at the same restaurant. They recognize each other but avoid introductions. After a few drinks, Ara leaves and Chang-soo decides to be brave and go talk to her. He's still unable to talk to her, and as he's about to leave, Ara surprisingly asks him if he'd like to spend the night with her. The next morning, they wake up in bed together, and they're both confused on how this even happened. They're both so embarrassed that they both get the idea to catch the next bus to avoid seeing each other on their way to work, but they both end up on the same second bus. Chang-soo, however, writes his number on a piece of paper and gives it to Ara to call him. At work, he opens up to his friend and uses a fake friend as an analogy to get some advice, because Chang-soo knows that the perfume is the reason for her suddenly having feelings for him. Gae-jun tells him that if the lie isn't that huge, then it doesn't matter that his friend's relationship will be built off of lies, and he should to his friend to pursue it. Ara and Eun-hee visit a fortune teller and get a tarot reading because deep down, she wishes for a genuine connection with Chang-soo. He informs her that she'll experience a heartbreak, but immediately changes his tune when she gives him money, and now says that they're meant for each other and it's destiny. Also, I forgot to add that Chang-soo's boss is also head over heels in love with him, meaning that he bats for the other team because it's only supposed to work for people who are attracted to his gender. Meanwhile, we see the makers of the perfumes discussing that Chang-soon's version is the only perfume that has worked since they first created it, and he's the fourth test subject. Ara texts him and suggests that they meet up at an aquarium. Chang-soo finally gets the courage to confess his feelings to her and tells her that he's always really liked her, and he'd love to have a relationship with her. She agrees and they start dating each other. Chang-soo walks Ara home and they hold hands cutely for the first time. While they're out hanging out, they get their pictures taken by a mysterious person who turns out to be Ara's ex, the barista, and he's talking to himself, realizing that he wasn't Ara's first love, and Chang-soo is her first real love. The next day, Chang-soo and Ara have lunch together to introduce their friends to each other. Eun-hee is first not interested in talking to Gae-jun because she's very superficial and can only talk to men who fit her certain criteria of physical requirements. She spits a drink in his face and then notices that Gae-jun has the jawline that she's very attracted to, and that changes the whole trajectory of their relationship. Chang-soo and Ara decide to go to an escape room and they actively solve the puzzles to play the game, while their best friends, on the other hand, are just stuck making out with each other in the other room. Chang-soo and Ara find them to stop their make-out session. After the escape room, they head to the roof of a building, and before they leave, Chang-soo rushes to their nearest pharmacy and gets her an aid to help her feet as she's bleeding. She's surprised that he even noticed that, because she herself wasn't even feeling any pain. She opens up to him that she's never felt like this about anyone. She tells him whenever she's with him, she just turns off her brain and doesn't have time to think about the troubles in her life. Then she says that ever since he came into her life has greatly improved, and he taught her to actually love and look forward to things in her life. On his way home, he runs into a lantern, and he remembers that he hasn't used the perfume since the time he went to the mall to test it out, and starts being comforted by the belief that A-Ra genuinely likes him, and it's not because of the perfume anymore. The following day at work, A-Ra's ex-boyfriend is there pretending to be interested in buying a car when he tells Chang-Soo that if he truly thinks that their little love is real, he's an idiot. He tells him that he's the one who made the perfume, so he knows what's going on. Chang-Soo's flabbers are gasted. Chang-Soo decides to throw away the perfume in the trash. They go camping with their friends. Gae-jun instructs Chang-Soo to get sauce for their meat, and he's confused to see the perfume is still in his bag because he remembers throwing it away. Meanwhile, Gae-jun makes things official with Eun-hee, but she's confused because she thought that they were already dating, and she asks him why was he then touching and kissing on her if they weren't officially dating. 2 days later, after camping, on his way home, he runs into James. He still asks her the same question on does he really believe that they're in love. He taunts her that the perfume has just created an illusion for her to think that she's in love with him when she actually isn't. Chang-Soo is upset because he's starting to really believe that they aren't really in love and starts doubting everything. The next day at work, A-Ra sees a surprise gift from Chang-Soo, and it's perfume. After work, she's on the phone with him when James shows up to her workplace. Chang-Soo runs to her workplace. James tells her the truth about the perfume, that she's actually not in love. She doesn't believe him at first, but James tells her to ask Chang-Soo about the perfume. When she's leaving, she's starting to believe James and starts doubting hers and Chang-Soo's relationship. He arrives to her workplace very late after she's left. A-Ra doesn't answer his calls for days until she shows up at his apartment. She confronts him on if what James was saying was true, and so Chang-Soo tells her the truth that initially she got attracted to him because of the perfume, but he hadn't used it since then, so everything else he's been feeling has been real. A-Ra asks him how does he know if what she's feeling is real though. She leaves his apartment. We finally learn that the whole experiment came to be because a wealthy man was trying to get a perfume to use on his wife, as she currently has dementia and doesn't remember him or their kids and grandchildren, and he just wanted her memories to come back. He tells the scientists to stop the experiment because it's hurt a lot of people in the process. RA goes to visit her ex-boyfriend James, and she also simultaneously learns that James has been stalking them as she sees their pictures, all of his office. James reveals the secret behind the perfume. He claims to have invented it and explains that it causes people to actually see their first love's face in others when it's been put on. He tells her that he thought he was her first love, but after the perfume, he's realized that she's never really loved anyone. And so when Chang-Soo put on the perfume, she subconsciously imprinted on him, officially turning him into her very first love. To prove this, because it sounds insane, James sprays the perfume and, to her shock, she actually sees Chang-Soo's face instead of James' face. Realizing she's been under the perfume's influence, A-Ra breaks up with Chang-Soo, feeling betrayed and confused. A year passes, and Chang-Soo has done a complete 360 and has worked on himself, and he sold his first car to the guy who regularly comes to test drive the car. Chang-Soo now no longer comes to work late. He boards the same bus hoping to encounter A-Ra again. This time, without the aid of any magical perfume, they reconnect. They share a genuine conversation, free from illusions. Their love, now built on trust and understanding, begins anew. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Love My Scent. Thanks for watching.